Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Sevastopol and seeing if it's worth picking up in 2025. This ship is available for 58,000 research points, which takes quite a while to grind. And for that time commitment, you're getting a ship that I'm not a huge fan of. Alright, I have to be honest with you going into this one. It's a 6-gun battle cruiser. I think you know how I feel about these ships by now. But I will try to show you the positives of this ship too. It is not a bad ship when the guns work. That's the key here. When these guns actually deal damage to these broadside cruisers, you're going to actually have a really good time with Sevastopol. This ship has 380mm guns, so take a Bismarck basically, make it more accurate, give it better pen as well as pen angles. That's the key with this ship. It has Petro pen angles, which are slightly improved over standard, meaning you should have a little better consistency, and we're seeing that here with this Salem. Now, that may not be the pen angles in particular, but the short fuses as well. You get slightly shorter fuse times on this AP, so you should see less overpens into those cruisers. So really what it comes down to with Sevastopol is if the shells land where they're supposed to. If they do, you're going to get damage. 2 shells actually cleared the island, and we got 2 citadels. Very good consistency to start with here with Sevastopol. This was not my experience all the way through playing it. But I do want to show you that it is possible if you aim well and get lucky with RNG. This ship has incredible consumables too. Some of the weirdest healing characteristics in the entire game, alongside incredible speed boost. Look at how we're able to go from a stationary, even reversing position, and still able to dodge those torpedoes. Most ships really cannot do that. We have a 20% engine boost here, combined with a heal that lasts a full minute, healing back 30% of our ship's HP. Very weird consumable layout, and I would say typically it's going to result in a negative, this healing in particular. The engine boost is really nice though, in that 20% engine boost allows you to do some speed juking when you take a more stationary position, or it allows you to play aggressive for that decisive action that you need to take. It gives you a lot of speed and maneuverability for a short period of time, lasting only a minute here. Your damage controls are limited, but thanks to this incredible amount of healing, you're not as worried about eating a fire or two, because fires are 100% healable. Here in this first game, or second game actually, we're also going to see really good consistency out of these main guns. For whatever reason, when I first started playing it for this video, I actually had some really good results. I think perhaps too good, and towards the end we got balanced out a little bit, but I need to show you what this ship can do. Broadside Hindenburg, these are rare opportunities at tier 10. Most people aren't going to get caught like this. Thanks to our good concealment, we can actually surprise them and do over 30k with one salvo. This is a 6-gun ship, and yet very consistent, very accurate. This ship has cruiser dispersion. This is not battle cruiser dispersion. This is cruiser dispersion with 2.05 sigma on these main guns. So you're getting exactly the same dispersion that you would get on a Hindenburg, for example. Most of these other tier 10 cruisers. But you have lower tier battleship caliber guns with improved pen angles. It's a really strong ship on a flank. It's really powerful when you catch broadsides. But a lot of ships are good at dealing with broadsides, especially broadside cruisers in particular. The ship is very good at. A lot of ships are good at dealing with that. The problem comes with Sevastopol when you got to deal with enemy destroyers. Notice we don't have a radar available on Sevastopol. And while that may not be all that surprising if you're thinking about battle cruisers, it's a little surprising when it comes to Russian tier 10 battle cruisers or heavy cruisers. This is a ship that does not have that radar utility. Not only do you not have radar utility, you just lack DPM. You have some of the worst DPM at tier 10 altogether. So in dealing with destroyers, you're going to have a bit of a tough time. Here we do manage to catch this daring, and we're landing every shell. I'm running outnumbered here, which is helping us with dispersion. But the dispersion is quite nice generally, and that should get you some pretty good damage into these destroyers. It's still not going to do very well compared to a lot of other tier 10 cruisers into those initial destroyer engagements, even cruisers that don't have a radar. This ship will do quite a lot worse because those other ships just will deal a lot more damage to those DDs. So you'll find your battle impact can be a little bit lacking. But when you find those heavier ships, the consistency out of this AP is really nice. Outside of 6-gun consistency issues, the other problem with these guns is your turret traverse. It is very, very sluggish, and you're going to see multiple mistakes throughout this video. I'm by no means the best at Sevastopol, and here you're going to see me try to brawl a Yamato, probably over pushing here, but seeing what we can get away with this ship. And I'm not going to pre-turn my turrets in time. That's the big problem here. The turrets are so slow to turn. So if you're not prepared for a ship popping up on your broadside, or you're in a brawl and you don't pre-turn your turrets, well, this is what happens. We have more than enough pen and pen angles to get through the Citadel, but I just misplayed with my turret traverse, unfortunately. This heal heals back a ton, as you can see, much like a super heal, yet it takes so long that there's no way for us to even survive this scenario. We did push into like a 3 or 4-way crossfire there, not advisable, but a super heal that lasts 20 seconds or so, that's often what we see with the British super heals, 20-second heal for 40% of your HP, would have kept us alive there for quite a long time. I think with Sevastopol, this heal is a big negative for this ship. A standard heal would be a lot better, because this heal takes so long and crucially has such a long reload. So to actually make use of all this, yeah, that dispersion. Some of that, the last turret was unlocked, but the first two, lock-on stays for a couple seconds after the ship goes dark these days. So we did have lock-on, and we just bracketed him, unfortunately. Although good dispersion and damage into this Worcester. So you get the aim right, this ship will do very well, even with that Worcester angling to us. That does improve pen angles, I think, as well as some overmatch. There's a tiny little bit of overmatch here that is relevant, 26 millimeters. Not a lot at tier 10, but certain light cruisers that will certainly help you against Moskva, of course. Going broadside again, as always. When they get away with it once, well, they'll get away with it multiple times. I know for a fact my Moskva doesn't work like that. Does yours? Probably not. But that is Sevastopol. Sometimes you're going to nuke everything, and other times it's just not going to roll your way, unfortunately. But back to this heal, which really is the unique gimmick of this ship. It's so similar to a Siegfried, actually, which is also a Research Bureau ship that we're going to take a look at soon. Similar guns, a little better performance here with pen angles and whatever, but also 380s, also cruiser dispersion. The key with this ship is your consumable layout, allowing you to have a ton of healing, fast reloading damage controls, a 20% engine boost. That's the special ability of Sevastopol, and a small benefit to those main guns, of course. But it's a whole tier higher, which is a big problem, and it is still very vulnerable broadside. We miss angle one time, and yes, sir, dev struck. Or pretty much dev struck. That is the way of things with Sevastopol. This is a Kronstadt hull, so it is quite vulnerable to its broadside. It's a waterline citadel. It's a very weird one. We'll take a look at the armor at the end of this video, of course, but you got to be careful when angling this ship. So you're getting this for more than a Siegfried, which I'm not as big a fan of. Another dev strike. Look at that. I mean, the guns, right? This heal really is the special sauce of this ship, and I just think it's bad. You need 60 seconds to get 30% your HP back. So if we just compare that to a standard heal, you get 14% of your HP from a normal heal in 28 seconds. So it's not much more efficient, especially considering the reload time. The reload time is 2 minutes. You gotta wait 2 minutes. We just finished using a heal here. We're full HP, and we're gonna die very quickly. The other thing is when your engine boost is run out, you're very sluggish. This is one of the worst rudder shifts out of any tier 10 cruiser, as well as turning circle radius. So even though we're going to spot these torps coming in with our hydro, we're still not going to be able to slow down and turn in time. In fact, I start shifting my rudder and slow down the instant I see those torpedoes, and we're only just now getting max rudder. That's how slow the rudder shift is here. It's tough to use this ship when you're trying to push in on some of these flanks. You just are very, very vulnerable. And now this Schlieffen is probably going to tear us apart. We're still a minute away from our heal. Now, 80 seconds is also quite a long time to wait for your heal, but 2 minutes is so punishing, especially when it takes so long to even get this heal. This is not a super heal giving you more healing for a shorter duration. It's actually about the same or even slightly worse than a standard heal as far as how much healing you get per second. Fortunately, we do get a lot of healing percentage back for our damage taken, so we heal back 75% pen damage and 50% citadel damage. But a lot of games are like this, where we just don't get through our healing because it takes so long. And because of that, I still have to play quite passive or use a lot of island cover, which is certainly a playstyle that I am very familiar with playing brawling battleships, but the fact that Sevastopol has to stay out of the fight for an extended period of time to even get back to its next heal is very, very challenging. It makes playing this ship rather difficult. Finding positions where you can flank and push, take some damage, trade, use our improved pen angles into a Salem greeting for his rear turrets, for example. Very good here, but if we take damage, if we take a lot of damage, it's hard for us to actually get back to our next heal. If you overpush, if you try and flank early and make use of these very solid guns most of the time, you're often going to find yourself, or at least I often found myself, having one heal games. A bit of a meme, right? The one heal battleship player that just YOLOs in and dies right away. Maybe a Conqueror with its super heal. With this ship, I found that happened a lot, where either I would be playing too passive and I wouldn't be getting a lot out of the guns, everyone would be angled to me, because you don't get a lot of opportunities for broadside cruisers these days because everything crushes a broadside cruiser. It's not unique to Sevastopol. When you do get that opportunity, typically it's going to punish it. But making those opportunities happen, playing in weird positions, getting up into the battle is very, very difficult with a ship like this one to survive. And I haven't even mentioned the carrier games. This is especially a problem for Sevastopol. If we're trying to push up to these kinds of positions, limit who can shoot at us, well, the carrier can just come and drop us for free. And our AA is very, very bad. Our healing takes so long to come back that the carrier is able to get so many drops in and do so much damage to us that we'll die before we even get to that next heal. So playing this position is just untenable if there's a carrier in the battle. Even with a sub, I was very hesitant to come here. Fortunately, our teammates were close enough to give us a lot of support here and allowed us to play here. So we do get a good match, a very, very good match. This is an excellent flank. When it works out, oftentimes you die getting here or die very quickly once you do get here. But when it works out, this is a really fun position to get into here on the ACAP, finding all these broadsides and trying to stay alive. But again, that heal reload. We need to be playing so safe for such a long period of time. It really comes down to the passive meta that we have these days. And a ship like Sevastopol does not have the healing speed to recover when it plays aggressive or mispositions. You could very easily call it misplaying, playing too aggressive, overly aggressive, and that's a mistake. But a ship like this one needs to find those broadside positions. Otherwise, you're just spamming 380 millimeter EP from longer ranges. You could do HE. That is something I haven't talked about yet. I really don't like spamming HE out of this thing. Your DPM is just abysmal, but fortunately you have a lot of pen with that high explosive. You get 63 millimeters of pen, which is very, very good. Most battleships have at most a 60 mil deck. A lot of them are 50 or less these days, alongside a 34% fire chance. But it's a slow reload and 6 guns only. So for me, this ship really does need to find the broadsides, and specifically a broadside cruiser, to feel like you're having any sort of tier 10 power level here. The dispersion is excellent here into this Hanover, and yet still we get 7k, 8, 9k salvo. That's fine, but we have nearly a battleship reload. We have maybe longer than a Republic battleship reload. So we also don't have the armor, and well, there's a triple fire on us, so we do want to damage control. But it's a weird ship to play. Obviously, I'm not the biggest fan of Sevastopol, so perhaps that bias is impacting my judgment here, but I do not recommend this ship. I didn't even get to talk about that, but with Research Bureau ships, so many of them are very similar to tech tree counterparts that you can just get by regrinding one line. instead of regrinding 5 or 6 lines to get these things. So with Sevastopol, to me, this ship really is just worse than a Petro. The AP is just as punchy with a Petro, and you get the radar utility. You get better armor. You heal back quicker. Way more utility, way tankier. Plays a similar role, plays similar positions just as well, or even better. And you can just play through that one line. A lot of ships are like that. I think I've mentioned that a couple times now, and in Twitch chat, someone brought up a really good point where at this point, Research Bureau ships, for the most part, are just for collectors a lot of the time, and I think that's a fair play. I think that's totally fair to say. For newer players, even more experienced players, a lot of these ships just aren't for you. They just take too long to grind, and more importantly, they're regrinding through content you've already played. If you're a newer or even somewhat experienced player, that time could be better spent playing new lines where you're playing unique, new, interesting content that you haven't played through before, instead of going over some of the other stuff that you've already had. So that's fine. That is totally fine. But for Sevastopol recommendations, I mean, I wish I didn't have this ship. Maybe that's too harsh, but just for me personally, I wish I hadn't spent all the time, or at least the free XP, in this case, for my account, getting research points to get this one. I don't even know why I have it and Siegfried on my account. Maybe it's because these ships came out before I became a CC, so then I wanted to make videos on them for YouTube, and that's why I got them, I guess. But these days, man, I would definitely not be getting these, not personally. But I am rather biased against these 6-gun ships. Not a fan. Although, we got some dev strikes out of it. And maybe it was just skill issue misaim when I didn't. Because the cruiser dispersion is quite good with these guns. And the pen angles are very nice. Much better than Siegfried. The pen is slightly higher as well. But if you want something that punishes broadside cruisers, that's more tanky, also brings a radar, Petro exists. If you have steel, of course, there's a Stalingrad, but steel is a hard one to get. As for your armor here, yeah, 30 mil deck, it's a lot larger than a Petro, it's less maneuverable than a Petro, worse armor, and 25 mil bow, no icebreaker. Your Citadel is very wonky on this one. It is waterline, but this is a very weird one, and no spaced up front. Perhaps that's where the Yamato hit. And notice that this extends in front of your main guns and behind your main guns, right? Like a lot of ships these days the Citadel would cut off here, not include this. I don't know why. Very strange. Perhaps it's just a relic of the old Kronstadt hull is what this one is, but very, very weird Citadel. Most of the time, you can angle. I haven't mentioned it yet, but your firing angles forward are actually really, really good. You get 27 degrees forward and 32 degrees backwards. So pushing in, you can angle yourself quite well. You're going to eat a lot of HE damage. You're going to eat a lot of overmatch damage. And you'll be able to heal through a lot of that given enough time. But if you're pushing, at least what I've found in pushing in this game, you need burst healing because the damage in this game is so bursty in those closer range positions, whether it be a battleship dev strike, whether it be light cruiser DPM, all that stuff is very, very high damage in a short period of time. So having a long duration heal that takes forever to reload is great for games that last 20 minutes. But for matches that are decided rather quickly, it's not so good, in my opinion. That's why something like Ohio, which we're going to take a look at soon, don't you worry, is so powerful in a brawl. It has insane armor, but the healing comes back so quickly. It can handle a lot of that burst damage through its good armor, and more importantly, its heal comes back so fast. That's one of the things that makes it strong. Sevastopol is kind of the opposite of that. Obviously not a battleship. We shouldn't be expecting battleship tankiness and survivability. But even against other heavy cruisers, it is lacking in that regard, thanks to this unique heal. It's interesting. If you want to play around with it, it's very, very weird. It's very interesting, but I just don't think it's good, okay? And that's another point in favor of Sevastopol being a Research Bureau ship for collectors, for experienced players who are looking for something new to play around with. It doesn't have to be good. It just needs to be interesting, and perhaps this is for you. If I were to change it, maybe this would be too busted, overpowered, but if I were to change it, I would make this a 60-second cooldown. half the cooldown. Okay, so I'm half uptime healing at all times. I think that would be interesting, because then you could legitimately push with this thing and just always have a heal ticking in the background. I think that would be kind of funny. I don't know if it would be good or it might be overpowered. I don't know. But playing around with that could be interesting. But for this one, as it currently stands, I do not recommend it. It's a very frustrating ship to play a lot of the time, especially into the more passive meta where people are playing so far back. You're mostly an AP-focused ship, and if people are constantly at long range angled to you, these guns don't feel particularly good. You really do need to find those mid-ranges where the cruisers are going broadside to you. That's where I had the most success, as you've seen throughout this video. As for the build here, really would not recommend Superintendent. On the paper, on surface, it looks good because, oh, more healing, more damage controls. We're limited to 3 damage controls base. Well, you're not really using a lot of damage controls because your heals back 100% of fires. So you're really only damage controlling when you get 3 fires on you. Maybe 2 if you're going behind cover, but 3 fires. Or a lot of floods and fires, or you need your engine or rudder got knocked out, that kind of thing. Otherwise, the heal will carry you through. And to use all your healing, it's like 10 minutes worth of heal, cooldown, heal, cooldown, heal, cooldown. Like, it's a long time. So extending that, I don't think is very worth it. Where Survivability Expert gets us a little bit more HP up front. We could give up, though, Survivability Expert and maybe Gunfeeder. I really wouldn't give up Greasy Gears for Concealment. I wanted my reload to be better and my accuracy to be better, just because my main complaints on this ship and all these 6-gun ships are often their damage is lacking and their accuracy is lacking. So this is just a personal pick, but Concealment's very good. It does get you down well below 12. It's like 11 something, and very, very powerful in that regard to be surprising a lot of cruisers that way, if they push up. But I think that's going to do it for Sevastopol outside of equipment. Should show you that. If you have an engine boost mod, very, very useful to have. Gets you almost the same uptime there as cooldown time, a little bit more, in fact. Wouldn't that be interesting if all the consumables were like that? Like, they all were 60-second duration, 60-second reload? That'd be kind of interesting. Maybe too strong, though, perhaps. That's a very brief idea that has not been thought through at all on my part, but it would be interesting, I think. But let me know what you think in the comments down below about Sevastopol. I don't think this one's particularly popular. I don't think I'm offending too many people in saying it's not very good or worth getting, but let me know what you think. If you're a Sevastopol enjoyer, let us know, and that way others who are interested in this ship can get a wide variety of ideas down there. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.